If you have ever received a letter from the Social Security Administration and read it 3 times without fully understanding what it was actually asking you to do, this video is for you. Today we are going to go through one of the most common and least talked about reasons Social Security payments get placed on hold, a form error in the SSA's own processing system. Not a policy change, not a decision about your eligibility, a form-level processing issue that triggers an automatic hold on an otherwise valid payment. No jargon. No complicated bureaucratic language, just a clear explanation of exactly what these form errors are, why they happen, which SSA forms are most commonly involved, and what the process looks like for getting a held payment released and posted to your account. I'm Andrew, and I have been going through the SSA's Program Operations Manual System, which is the SSA's internal policy guide, specifically the sections covering payment processing holds, form completion requirements, and the release procedures for suspended payments. Everything here comes directly from ssa.gov and the SSA's published Program Operations Guidance. Before we get into this, if you find this kind of plain language explanation of Social Security and Medicare rules useful, subscribe and turn on notifications. Every week this channel covers one benefit topic in the same straightforward format, with no pressure and no alarm. Now let us get into exactly what form errors cause Social Security payments to be placed on hold, and how the SSA processes the release of those payments. The most common misunderstanding about Social Security payment holds is that when a payment stops or is delayed, it means the SSA has made a decision about the recipient's eligibility, that someone at the agency reviewed the case and concluded something had changed. This misunderstanding is completely understandable because when money you depend on does not arrive, the natural assumption is that a human being looked at your file and made a judgment call about whether you should receive it. But here is how it actually works. A significant portion of Social Security payment holds are triggered automatically by the SSA's processing system when a required form has not been received, contains an incomplete field, or cannot be matched to the correct beneficiary record. These are system-level flags, not case decisions. No SSA employee has reviewed your eligibility. No determination has been made about whether you qualify. The payment is simply sitting in a processing queue waiting for a form issue to be resolved before the system releases it. We are going to go through each part of this in detail so that by the end of this video you have a complete and accurate picture of which forms are involved, why errors occur, and what the resolution process looks like. To make this concrete, let me use an example. Consider someone like Raymond. Raymond is 74 years old, lives in Baton Rouge, Louisiana. Let me use one of our states. Raymond lives in Mobile, Alabama, and spent his working years as a licensed electrician before retiring at 68. He has been receiving his Social Security retirement benefit without interruption for 6 years. In January 2026, Raymond's adult daughter became his representative payee, meaning she was officially authorized by the SSA to receive and manage his Social Security payment on his behalf due to a health situation that made independent financial management difficult. When she submitted the representative payee application, one field on SSA form SSA 11, the request to be selected as payee, was left blank. The form was accepted but flagged as incomplete in the SSA's processing system. Raymond believed his payment had been canceled because the SSA had concerns about the payee change. Here's what was actually happening in his situation. The payment was not canceled. It was placed in a processing hold automatically by the SSA system because the incomplete form could not be fully matched to his beneficiary record. Once his daughter called the SSA and provided the missing information, a process that took one phone call, in about 15 minutes, the hold was released and the payment posted within 2 business days. His monthly benefit of $1,528 arrived in full. Nothing about his eligibility had changed. Understanding what triggered the hold would have answered Raymond's question the same day it started: how the SSA's payment processing system uses forms. Let us start with the foundation. The Social Security Administration processes millions of payments each month through an automated system that cross-references beneficiary records against a set of required form submissions and status confirmations. According to the SSA's Program Operations Manual System, which is publicly available at ssa.gov, the payment processing system is designed to release payments automatically when all required records and forms for a given beneficiary are complete, current, and matched correctly in the system. When any required form is missing, incomplete, or contains information that cannot be matched to the beneficiary's existing record, the system does not simply proceed. It places the payment in a suspended status until the form issue is resolved. This is not a punitive measure. It is a verification step built into the processing system to prevent payments from being sent to incorrect accounts or issued under incorrect payee designations. You might be wondering, what counts as a required form and how would I know if one is outstanding for my account? The answer is that required forms vary depending on your specific benefit type and personal circumstances. For standard retirement benefit recipients with direct deposit and no recent account changes, there are typically no outstanding form requirements. Issues arise most commonly when there has been a recent change, a new payee designation, a direct deposit update, an address change processed through a paper form, or a periodic review request from the SSA. The 4 most common form errors that trigger payment holds. Now that we understand how the processing system uses forms, we can look at the specific errors that most commonly trigger holds. According to SSA processing guidelines, the 4 form-related issues that most frequently result in suspended payments are an incomplete representative payee application, a direct deposit update form with a mismatched account holder name, an annual report form for certain benefit categories that was received past the processing deadline, and a continuing disability review form that was submitted with a missing signature or incomplete medical section. This next part is where it gets more specific. Of these four, the representative payee form, SSA 11, and the direct deposit update process are the two most common sources of holds for retirement and survivor benefit recipients. The continuing disability review form, SSA 454, is the most common source of holds for Social Security disability insurance recipients. Each of these forms has specific required fields, and the SSA system will flag a submission if any required field is blank, illegible, or contains information that does not match the beneficiary's existing record. This applies in most cases. The exception involves situations where a form error is identified during manual review rather than automated processing. For example, when an SSA field office employee notices an inconsistency during a scheduled case review. In those situations, the resolution process may involve a follow-up appointment rather than a simple phone correction. Your SSA notice will specify which type of resolution is required. In Raymond's situation specifically, the incomplete SSA 11 form triggered an automated hold rather than a manual review flag, which is why the resolution was straightforward. Had the form been flagged during a manual review, the process would have required his daughter to visit or contact the local SSA field office directly. How payment holds are released and how long it takes. And finally, this is the piece that ties everything together. When a Social Security payment is placed on hold due to a form error, the release process depends on how the error is corrected. According to the SSA's processing guidelines, corrections made by phone, where the missing information is simple and can be verified verbally, are typically processed within 1 to 3 business days, after which the held payment is released and posted to the recipient's account on the next available processing date. Corrections that require a new or amended form to be submitted in writing take longer. The SSA's standard processing time for paper form submissions is 7 to 10 business days from receipt. During that window, the payment remains on hold. Once the corrected form is processed and matched to the beneficiary record, the system releases the payment automatically. You might be wondering, if my payment is held for 2 weeks while a form is being corrected, do I receive the held amount once the issue is resolved? The answer is yes. According to SSA.gov, payments that are held due to processing issues and subsequently released are posted in full for the period during which they were held. You do not lose the benefit amount during the hold period. You receive it once the form issue is cleared. The maximum Social Security retirement benefit for someone who claimed at full retirement age in 2026 is $4,018 per month. The average retirement benefit paid to all current recipients is approximately $1,976 per month. Both amounts are subject to the same form-based processing rules. The size of the benefit has no effect on whether a form error triggers a hold or how quickly it is resolved. One thing worth understanding about Social Security form errors and payment holds is how they connect to Medicare. For recipients who have Medicare Part B premiums deducted from their Social Security payment, a payment hold does not suspend the Medicare coverage itself, according to Medicare.gov. Medicare coverage continues regardless of a temporary Social Security payment hold. The premium deduction will simply be reconciled once the payment hold is released, and the full benefit amount posts. This is not a warning, just something worth knowing so you have the complete picture if you are enrolled in both programs. Before we finish, let me answer 3 questions that come up most often about Social Security form errors and payment holds. Question 1. How do I find out if there is a form error holding my payment? Answer. The most direct way is to log into your My Social Security account at SSA.gov, where pending items and outstanding requests related to your account are displayed. You can also call the SSA at 1-800-772-1213 and ask a representative to review your account for any form-related holds or pending submissions. The SSA is required to inform you of any outstanding form requirement that is affecting your payment. Question 2. Can a form error cause my Social Security to be permanently stopped? Answer. No. A form error results in a processing hold, not a termination of benefits. Termination requires a formal eligibility determination through a separate process that includes written notice and appeal rights. The hold triggered by an incomplete or unmatched form is a temporary administrative status that is resolved once the form issue is corrected. Question 3. What if I submitted the form correctly and the SSA says there is still an error? Answer. If you believe a form was submitted correctly and the SSA system still shows a hold, you have the right to ask the SSA to review the specific field or information it flagged. You can do this by phone or in person at a local field office. If the SSA's records show the form was received but not matched, a field office visit is often the fastest way to resolve the discrepancy directly. Everything we covered today applies generally, but your specific situation may have details that change how the processing rules apply to your account. The most reliable way to get your exact answer is SSA.gov, where your My Social Security account shows any pending items, outstanding form requests, and your current payment status. For direct assistance with a payment hold, call the SSA at 1-800-772-1213 and ask specifically about any form-related processing issues on your account. For Medicare questions related to a payment hold, Medicare.gov and 1-800-MEDICARE are the appropriate contacts. And if you need free in-person help, the Elder Care Locator at 1-800-677-1116 can connect you with a local benefits counselor who can help you navigate the SSA form process. These resources are free, they are official, and they will give you answers specific to your situation, not general answers like this video does. One factual note before we finish. The SSA communicates by mail, not by phone calls, claiming your payment has been frozen due to a form error, and asking you to verify personal information to release it, not by texts saying your account has been flagged, and not by emails requesting a form resubmission through an unofficial link. If you receive communication like that, it is not from the SSA. You can verify any SSA communication by calling 1-800-772-1213 directly. I am curious, was there a specific part of how Social Security form errors affect payment processing that you found most unclear before watching this? Leave it in the comments. The most common questions become future videos. That is the form error that puts Social Security payments on hold. Explained as clearly as I can put it. If something is still unclear, the comment section is open, and I read every question. If this was useful, share it with someone who has experienced an unexplained payment delay and was not sure where to start looking for the reason. I am Andrew. I will see you in the next one.